WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and tuned into the Orioles and the Yankees into the middle of the night and most of the day on Sunday. And I know for anyone that follows the sport of golf, it was a religious experience over the weekend as the azaleas and Augusta and the birds and some rain and some shadows flew over all things Georgia. But Robert Canady was on the scene, monitoring all things from another legendary golf course. I'm going to let him tell the story. He, of course, is down at Compass Point Golf. He is our golf as well as college basketball insider on behalf of our partners down there at Compass Point in Pasadena. But you weren't in Pasadena for the Reed storm of the course on Sunday, were you?
No, I wasn't, Nestor. It was for the first time ever I was kind of not in front of my couch watching it by myself. I was actually down in Pinehurst, North Carolina, with a little golf weekend, and where we played some golf in the morning and watched our Masters coverage in the afternoon. And so it was a really cool thing to be down there. Not only playing golf and then watching it, but with Pinehurst, you're there with 5,000 other golfers probably that are there doing the same thing. So it's different from hearing about talking about it with your friends who you see all the time, but you're hearing, Vinny from New York and, Tom from Florida and everything. And it's kind of neat, to share it with other avid golfers and everything down there. And watching the sports bar was really kind of a different experience than watching it at home. And especially the final round on Sunday was just incredible to watch from there with Jordan Spieth making his run. Everyone was pulling for him, and Ricky Fowler, everyone there, and people were hating on the Rory, love-hate people with him, and we'll talk a little bit more with him and Reed. It's funny, they both have their haters and they both have their people that love them. So yeah, it was a great thing to be watching it in that sort of environment on all weekend long.
Well, first things first, it wasn't the most exciting round, and let's start with Tiger Woods and sort of the fade there. Any takeaway thoughts from where Woods has been to what the expectations were to clearly him struggling a little bit on Thursday and Friday, making the cut? But, the first thing anybody would say on Sunday afternoon is, where's Tiger Woods? Well, good, but not good enough, right?
Absolutely. And I think this is one that we've talked in the past and everything, even though, I don't think either of us are big bettors, but we follow what the Vegas people do and the odds and everything like that. And they generally know what they're doing. I mean, they've made their money from being right a lot more than wrong. And this one they kind of got wrong. They had Tiger listed as a pretty big favorite, and he just never really was in contention. He played well. He made the cut. And that's something I think, a year ago, if you'd said he was even going to be playing, you would have been shocked. And if you'd said he was going to make the cut and, not be in last place, people would have thought he was crazy. So, it was everything considered, it was a respectable showing for him, but yet Tiger and the Augusta and the Masters, we expected more. Maybe we thought we'd get more, and he did have a final round on Sunday. Was pretty good. He, shot 3 under par, and but he struggled with his iron play early in the week, and then he got that straightened out, and then he had a little bit of a bulky putter on Saturday, and so he definitely was not. I think a lot of people were hoping for the miracle performance, Tiger coming back from oblivion and, winning or at least being in contention. I think a lot of people had hoped that there would be the Tiger Mickelson showdown, the 40-some-year-olds on Sunday. And that would have been a great story and everything, but realistically it didn't happen. We've talked a lot in the past year or so about the young guns that are all playing in their 20s and everything that are kind of dominating the sport right now. And that's what it turned into. And, with 3 of them right there at the top of the leaderboard, chasing each other, or the 2 of them chasing Reed on Sunday. That's exactly what happened, and it was fun to watch. It wasn't you're right, it wasn't the most exciting finish. It's not like Reed birdied the last 3 holes.
Yeah, dude, I was watching baseball. I mean, if it was Woods and Mickelson and Spieth and McIlroy and Watson, let's say, all 3 shots apart, at 12, 13, and 14, and 7 or 8 guys scrambling around on the back nine. That would have made for something. Instead, I'm watching a baseball game that I got sucked into when it was 5-0 in the first inning at 1 o'clock, and all of a sudden I look up and it's 5:35, and we're still playing baseball. So, and I saw Spieth. I mean, I'm on Twitter. I did not go back and forth. I didn't even have it. I mean, I just did not watch the tournament as much over the weekend as I did baseball, and I did a lot of work over the weekend with the TV on and some hockey going and other things happening around here, but It is fascinating, the Vegas side of this thing, because you bring that part up. Can you gamble on it? Who would want to gamble on it? Well, when Tiger Woods is involved, regular people get involved in it as well and get sucked in. There was no value in betting on him. I know you gave me a litany of names last week and guys to watch, but Patrick Reed becomes the story here, and clearly from the Jim Nantz tenor of the thing, from the crowd being subdued, from this story of this heralded kid from around the corner in Augusta, and not a whole lot about all the problems, off the course that he had at Georgia. I mean, I had to do a little wiki and a little bit of reading on Sunday night on him, because you certainly weren't going to get the full color of the story from the folks at CBS, which was sort of kind of fake news when it comes to a story on this guy, right? Like, this guy's a very disliked guy, right?
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because one of the things, and I'm unusual in this way, I like to listen to the announcers and hear what they're saying when I watch a tournament and everything. And other people say, the talking heads, I know more than them. So being the environment that we were in, the sports bar, we didn't really hear a lot of the.
It's hilarious that anybody would think they would know more than Nick Faldo about golf, but I'm just saying.
Right,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I've met Nick. He knows a little bit.
Of Johnny Miller than Nick Faldo. I think a lot of times on the NBC coverages and everything. So I didn't get to hear that, but no, it doesn't surprise me that his background wasn't brought up. And he does have a little bit of a checkered, questionable background. It's,
but doesn't that have to get brought up when Ray Lewis wins a Super Bowl? All they do is bring up stuff that happened with him and his personality and the stories. I mean, that is what happens when Nick Foles wins, for better or for worse. I mean, the day after, Nick Foles said, "Hey, man, I had low points in my life," and it gave this inspirational thing and went to Disney World, and the whole deal. I think if you're a regular guy like me, a regular guy that was with the baseball game and came in on the 14th hole of a tournament that he was clearly going to win unless he really screwed up, boy, I did not get any flavor or color in the way that I do when I put the Kentucky Derby on to know if that trainer was dirty and drugged a horse at one point, or if that trainer has come close and never done it, and his wife and his family, and they're estranged, and there's been, part of the story is the Hollywood Access story, right? Like, literally, or Access Hollywood, strike that, Entertainment Tonight, whatever it is. But I didn't get any of that until after it was over. I'm like, this guy looks like he's about 19 years old. He looks kind of fat. I mean, he kind of looks like not your typical 20. I said to my wife, he looks like he belongs on a frat somewhere near a kegger. Yep. And it really was a strange. And I'm like, I want to read up on him because I don't know anything about him. Probably in the same way I didn't know anything about Jordan Spieth or Rory McIlroy or any of these guys until you hear about them on a Masters, a U.S. Open, or wherever I'm camped out with golf on a Sunday afternoon and say, oh, he's got a pretty wife, and wow, that was a hell of a shot, and wow, I'm sucked into this tournament because that guy's chasing Tiger Woods or that guy's chasing Mickelson or whatever it is, because that's the way it is for a guy like me. I'm not a guy with a golf club in my hands. I'm a guy sucked into the Masters on a Sunday, and I want the whole story, not the sanitized, you know what I mean? Like Butler, whatever they call it up on the hill and all. I'm not all that, bikini wax greens and all that. I like all that, but give me the real story. Don't spare me the facts. You know what I mean?
Right. And the golf media in general is a much kinder, gentler media than, the mainstream media that covers, even though sometimes it's the same, national reporters, that can be covering golf that, might be at the Super Bowl and everything, but they
we're looking up for this kid's parents. He just won the Masters. They're 2 miles away, and they don't even mention it. I mean, it's a little weird,
Yeah. I mean, normally you're looking for the big tearful hug. With
I'm wondering who he's hugging, and I'm thinking, does the kid have any family? You know what I mean? And it was a little smirky on the way in to sign his card, and and by then I'm kind of checked out thinking about 60 Minutes, quite frankly, because it wasn't one of these things where tears are running down my face or anybody in the crowd was. It felt a little subdued, and I didn't really. I didn't know why. I didn't know the whole story in the way that people that have spent $3,000 to be on the golf course on Sunday probably know everything about Patrick Reed, right? Like if you're there and you're ensconced in this isn't a news story. It's only new for me and my wife who don't follow golf, right?
Yeah, and like you said, unless you go do some digging on your own, you're not going to get the full. You're wondering why on the first tee, when the introductions are made on Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon, that why he's only getting a lukewarm round of applause, and Rory McIlroy, from Ireland, is getting a standing rousing ovation and everything. In addition to the fact that McIlroy was going for the career Grand Slam and he's won 3 majors, but Reed he's not a complete unknown, like you mentioned, to the golf community. He's won some big tournaments. He's won a World Golf Championship,
Ryder Cup. I mean, come on, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, that was what all the preamble talk was about going into Sunday. It's going to be, match play again, just like it was in the 2016 at Hazleton, him against McIlroy, and of course, then he was everyone's favorite son because he's carrying the American flag, and everyone's chanting USA, USA. And now here they are playing individually, not so much for their country. And then you're going back to like, okay, well, I'm a McIlroy guy or I'm a Spieth guy. Bubba, people are more individualized versus, cheering for their team or the country. So it was definitely, and, you described him pretty well, when you were talking about him. It's funny, you mentioned he's not real, and he's what our mothers would call husky back in the day, probably.
I bought the husky pants at Epstein's in Highlandtown. I was husky as a lad, yes.
And the frat boy thing, that's the exact analogy that I've used to some of my friends.
Every time I get on the yoga mat, I make sure that I don't get compared to the Pillsbury Doughboy anymore.
I know, but it's so, I think you're exactly right. It was, unless he had just totally choked, and this is one thing I will say about him. There were other players there, like Leishman. I had a feeling he's a very good player and everything, but even though he was tied for the lead, over the weekend at one point, I said, he's not going to be there over the weekend. He's proven to me before he, is not really there for the long run. Reed has never really choked, and he is the type that, he will battle you to the end. He's come through in some clutch things, so it didn't surprise me that he didn't falter down the end. And Spieth literally just ran out of holes. Nine shots back. We were talking there, at the end of Saturday night, who still had a chance or not. And I said, well, if Reed shoots like a 74 and Spieth throws up a 64 or a 65, it could happen. And sure enough, that's exactly what would have happened if Reed had shot, that 74 instead of a 71.
If they had to play 3 more holes, it would have been an interesting tournament all of a sudden. If they had to go to 21, right? Exactly. It was going in that direction to some degree, but I don't know that it ever sort of caught fire other than, again, when the Orioles were 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th inning, playing all afternoon. I saw Spieth coming up the leaderboard, but I also saw Reed not kind of backing up either, right?
Yeah, he definitely wasn't. And, it just ran out of holes. There was one moment where, he and Spieth were tied. But then Reed went and birdied the very next hole to say, okay, well, it's still in my control. It's still my tournament to win. And he did, like I said, he did win it in spectacular fashion by making a birdie. He made a very tough 2-putt on the 18th, which, some people have missed that putt. Sergio was one last year. Sergio missed that putt in regulation to send it into a playoff.
Yeah, it didn't come down to he didn't have to make a shot. He made 2 great shots at the end. Go up the hill and make a couple shots, kid. Win yourself a Masters. It sounds easy, but then you get up there and you're like, well, if this thing lips out, we're going to be here for a little while. We're going to see the shadows start to fall, right?
Exactly. So it's credit to him, and we'll see what he does from here. I'm sure. He's been in contention before, so there's no reason not to think that he won't win another one or two along the line. And, it was fun, and we saw the names maybe minus Tiger up there, like I said, or Phil, that some people had hoped for. But, we saw the Spieth or the Fowlers, and the Watson was on the fringes. We didn't see Justin Thomas or Dustin Johnson. They never really got in the mix, and they were kind of just in the second tier or third tier of guys down there that never really challenged for it. But, that's the good thing about the way I think the state of golf is right now. There are so many good, talented, young 20-year-olds that, for the most part, you're figuring at least 1 or 2 of them are going to be in the mix in every major. And it's not going to be, a Leishman against a, Molinari or someone like that, who are all very good players, but just don't carry any real, pizzazz to themselves. So, looking forward to the U.S. Open. We'll have the Players Championship coming up in a few weeks and down in TPC Sawgrass, which isn't a major, but everyone refers to it as the fifth major. So that'll be one that'll be watched with interest. But, the next major will be in June in Shinnecock Hills in New York. And so, it's always, I think we've talked in the past how it's always fun when there's a big event in New York, and so there'll be a lot of excitement and talk leading up to that when that happens in June.
Might even have a Belmont of some note there. Robert Canady is Buckets and Birds out on Twitter. He's also doing all sorts of golf things down at Compass Point Golf Course. All of our WNST programming brought to you by our friends at Pizza John's. They give me the brochure to show here, and then I look down and I see the pizza and the pepperoni pizza, and I think I got to get over to Pizza John's. Self-service restaurant, carry out 50 years. I turned 50 this year. We were both born in 1968. So together again, it's Pizza John's. Quick, courteous counter service. It says so right here, but just get on over there. It's been 50 years. If you're from the east side, it's legendary. They've now got the ice cream bar there as well, and my mom always ordered a beer to go with her pizza at Pizza John's. Also, the Rofo Rewards program. You want to be downloading the Rofo app on your phone, gassing up with that. You get Rofo Rewards. So I got the Rofo Rewards card here. Justin Tucker tells me about it in the TV commercials as well. Gas rewards, club rewards, earn points on your purchases, as well as fried chicken, and my favorite, Western fries. There's going to be some Western fries to go along with our Capitals hockey as the Caps get going this week. We're going to be doing a viewing party for games 3 and 4 next week when the Caps move to Columbus. Eddie and I will be down covering the games this week as well. Nasty at WNST.net always finds me for more information. And if you're interested in our community and charity series, I'm doing that every Thursday morning. It's all brought to you by Howard Bank as well as Cole Roofing. Throw me a note if you have a 501c3 that you want to spotlight as well. One other shout out. If you've got kids and you're looking for something to do this weekend, the Wildcat Show, the 4:30 show at the Modell Lyric, still have some seats available for that. The Modell Lyric, our new partner here at WNST.net. We're very, very appreciative of that. Britt Floyd coming up on the 26th, Jackson Brown on May 3rd. You'll be hearing some of the performers as well here at WNST.net as we brag on our partnership with the Modell Lyric. We've also got a partnership with Compass Point Golf. Robert Canady is not only our Buckets and Birds guy out on Twitter and the hardwoods of local college basketball, where UMBC did some good things, including on the lacrosse field over the weekend. He is also our golf insider down at Compass Point. And boy, you're getting into the nuts and bolts here, right? Like the weather hasn't been good for baseball, lacrosse, golf, anything sort of outdoor oriented, but the Masters sort of kicks it all off. Everybody watched a little golf over the weekend. Baseball's back, hockey's back, and I'm sure it's like sort of heating up, right? Like you've got the beer on ice down there and you're waiting for the first 74-degree day later this week, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, as we've talked about, the Masters is kind of the official kickoff to what we consider the golf season here in this area. And, the weather may not have seemed typical golf weather here or in Pinehurst, and it was just as cool down there as it was up here just about, it seemed. So, it looks like some warmer weather is in the near forecast, and hopefully once it gets here later in the week, it'll be here to stay. And we kicked things off. We had our Masters Post-Me Challenge here on Friday. I wasn't here for it, but I've heard good things about it, and it was a fun time. We had 50-some people out participating in it, so that was pretty much a full field, and they had a great time. And we've got a lot of other good events coming up. We'll have an Irish Open in May, which we can talk about more as we get closer, but that's always a sellout event. So, registration can be done for that online at compasspoint.com and get your spot with your foursome there to play some much warmer golf and have some Irish libations and everything. So
I have a feeling beer will be involved. It's a golf course, That's what I expect to happen out there at Compass Point. I'd be disappointed in you and everyone in Pasadena if there were not.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be disappointed. I think we'd be dealing with some unhappy golfers, so we don't want that. But yeah, we're looking forward to the course. Going to be in great shape this year. Looking forward to the grass turning greener, and we don't have azaleas or anything up here, but every once in a while we get some cherry blossoms springing out.
Yeah, put some potted plants out. I mean, all they need is a nice green fairway and a little a putting course up on the hill there. Move the hole around a little bit and serve cold beer and great food. And it's who you golf with, isn't it? I mean, that's the whole game, right? I mean,
yeah, it is. It's a very social event. Whether you're, out in a tournament, you're still, kind of socializing and everything, or if you're just grabbing, like I did this weekend, four buddies going down to play some golf and hang out and, play golf during the day, drink some beer in the evening and, watch the Masters. It's very social and it's, like you said, we didn't play the best golf, this past weekend because most of us hadn't played a whole lot since last fall, but, we had a good time, razzing each other about their bad shots and, celebrating the good shots and, saying, comparing ourselves. Like the thing about golf at our level is probably one shot around, you'll hit a shot that, makes you think you can play the game, or that, hey, that's a shot that, that's almost as good as.
I do that on the range every time. I mean, I throw one out $175, 200, dead straight, and I'm thinking, I could do this. I could do that. I'm ready for the tour.
Exactly. We all, we all do that and everything. And then, of course, you get up there and chunk the next one 10 yards, and it's a very humbling game. And you drink your beer and have some fun and everything. So yeah, we're looking forward to a great season here this year. As always, outings, are booking up, and we still have some more room for them in the summer and the fall. So anyone that's doing their charity outing or wants to raise some funds for their school or university or their cause, absolutely, that's what we do. And happy to have them out here and help them raise some money for it.
You can find him at Buckets and Birds. You can find him at Compass Point Golf Course. And, of course, now that the hardwoods are over, he is sharpening his game, beginning at Pinehurst. He'll be playing Pebble Beach next week. And, I'm sure off to TPC before it's all over with down at Sawgrass. I mean, it's going to be a great summer here. And I know you're so much into golf. And I felt so much energy for the Masters over the weekend that I do bid you guys, all of us, our sandals wearers for me and the golf shoe wearers for you, good weather here moving forward, right? So let's enjoy the sunshine before the weekend.
Sounds good. We're looking forward to it.
Check in next week. All things golf. He is Robert Canady. He is Buckets and Birds out on Twitter. All of our WNST programming brought to you by our friends at Howard Bank, a relentless commitment to being the best at everything they do. The aforementioned community charity series, underwritten in part by Howard Bank, as well as our friends at Cole Roofing. They do commercial roofing spaces. We felt that wind. You know about the rain. You know what damage the winter can do. And then the summer can be unforgiving. Don't let it goof on your roof. Get your roof checked out now. If you have a commercial roof space, you need Cole Roofing and Pfister Energy. Last shout out to our friends at Costas Inn. Good enough for the Today Show. My mom loved the fat crabs over there. They miss my mom down there. The cold beer, they got extra beer down there that my mom doesn't get down to Costas and drink anymore. The legend continues. We're going to be down at Costas watching some Caps hockey before it's all over with this month. I'm going to be setting some viewing parties coming up for Games 3 and 4 next week. You'll be hearing more from me then. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.